Okay, hello again. So this is Trinity, and you're listening to Love Spiracy. And I'm gonna do a poll before I release this. So, hopefully, you voted to want to hear it, and you're gonna be able to hear it. Anyway, let me get to the point because this is kind of long. So, anytime I find something that has been severely redacted, or it's been banned, or it's impossible to find, or especially if the government is hiding it, and I find it, I have to do something with it. And it is 11:43 at night. I'm exhausted. I already took stuff to go to sleep. And then of course, I find this. I've already uploaded it 3 times and it changed twice. I never shut down the first one. I thought it was weird. I wasn't seeing it correctly. Long story short, I have it. And I'm scared that if I go to sleep and I get up in the morning and it refreshes it, it's going to be gone. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this over with. All right. This is a story that came, that's from Wired.com. And it says here, this was March 5th, which I think it technically is still March 5th. It is. Here's the story. Here's a map of the for sale government properties the GSA pulled from its website. The General Services Administration plans to sell hundreds of government buildings, including the FBI headquarters. Use our interactive tools to see where they are and the congressional districts they're in. Now, you might be thinking, Trinity, just copy and paste it. I can't. That's how I lost the other 2. I can't copy and paste it. I tried, it didn't work. I can't expand the map. I'm telling you, they're trying to take this down. So I literally have to read them one by one. And for me, something like this that they want to take down, they don't want anybody to know. I have to take it. I got to do it. I got to do it. I'm doing it for me and I'm doing it for you. Okay. Oh, by the way, I tried at least 6 times to go to the actual site and download it, and it's just a bunch of code. It doesn't say anything. They give you 3 opportunities to download them. All 3 give you absolutely nothing. So you can download it, but you can't see anything. So I'm going to run through this really quick because I didn't remove it off my computer yet. But I'm afraid I'm going to lose this. Anyway, so here's the article. And give kudos to, I guess his name will be down on the bottom. Anyway, on Tuesday, the General Services Administration, or the GSA, published a list of more than 400 federal buildings and properties to be sold, including the FBI headquarters, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, the Department of Justice, and other key federal facilities. Hours later, 123 buildings, including high-profile sites like the J. Edgar Hoover Building and Veterans Administration Building in Washington, D.C., were removed from the list. By Wednesday, the entire list had disappeared from the GSA website. I can confirm I tried. Wired, smart, has created a map and a searchable table of the government properties that were for sale and briefly listed, which also include corresponding political representatives for each location, which I think is going to be interesting. Okay. Wired cross-referenced 2 databases to create the map. The list of non-core properties originally published and then removed by the GSA, and the inventory of owned and leased properties, or the IOLP. The GSA defines non-core properties as buildings and facilities that are, quote, not core to government operations. And in a press release about the list, argued that sales would provide savings to the American taxpayer. The IOLP, a publicly accessible database, offered detailed information on GSA-owned and leased properties across the United States, Puerto Rico, Guam, and American Samoa. And here's the map. I cannot cover the map, so I have to do it in the listing, which is going to be a pain in the ass. Anyway, among those originally denoted as for sale are historically significant properties like Chicago's Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, I guess, designed the John Krasinski Federal Building and the Custom House, an Art Deco building taking up a city block in Philadelphia's Old City. Less prominent but still notable buildings include the Martinsburg Computing Center in Kearneysville, West Virginia, which houses what the IRS describes as its individual and corporate tax administration master file database, and the Central Heating Plant in Washington, D.C., which provides heated and chilled water to government buildings, museums, and national monuments. The GSA has since claimed that not all buildings are for sale, but the agency has repeatedly changed its tune throughout different internal documents and communications to staffers. The GSA, an independent government agency, manages government IT and a significant portion of the federal real estate portfolio. In recent weeks, the agency has been decimated by forced resignations and reductions in forces, including the elimination of 18F, a GSA unit focused on government efficiency. The GSA's Public Building Service, PBS, is reportedly planning to cut 63% of its workforce, about 3,600 people in total. Elon Musk's associates are staffed throughout the GSA, including Technology Transformation Services Director Thomas Shedd, a former Tesla engineer and ex-staffer Nicole Hollander. A number of young Doge technologists also have access to the agency. Wired reported in February that employees at the GSA were told to sell off more than 500 federal buildings, including properties that house government agencies and the offices of U.S. senators. The list of these buildings divided the properties into core and non-core assets and designated the non-core assets as to be sold. A note on the original list states that the agency's intention is eventually to reduce the size of the owned real estate footprint by 50% and the number of buildings by 70. Reductions will be focused on the non-core general office space of the portfolio, which can be replaced as needed in the private leased market. Moving forward, all non-core buildings will be disposed of and their tenants will be transitioned into leases. The GSA has not said why it published and then subsequently removed the list. Some suggest that the list was taken down due to the negative press, says a source at GSA, who, along with others mentioned in this story, Wired is granting anonymity because they are not authorized to talk to the press. There has been no national strategy on how GSA is supposed to engage customer agencies on their occupancy agreements in these buildings. Our portfolio team haven't heard anything from our national office and what's really going on, sources say. Other sources, and please keep in mind, I'm exhausted, but other sources just means that these are literal people that are working in these spaces and know what they are, but they have to keep saying sources because God only knows what would happen if somebody found out they're the reason that this is why that list got out. Okay, other sources have described a small group at the GSA walled off from other employees, making decisions in tandem with Doge. The thing you need to realize is the administrator of the GSA and PBS commissioner are making these decisions in a vacuum, says a source, referring to Michael Peters, the recently appointed PBS commissioner, and Stephen Ehekian, the acting GSA administrator. The regional staff, senior regional leadership, and most GSA national office staff don't get to talk to the administrator or PBS commissioner. They have a floor locked off at GSA headquarters with elevator access restricted. They're in there with the Doge reps. I know it sounds like bad James Bond movie or I'm making it up, but they literally have locked off a floor. Peters and Ehekian did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Okay. And then I'm going to read off this is how I'm going to cover it. I'm going to give you the name of the building, the city, state, and the representative for that, where that facility is at. I can't read any more than that. Whatever else I would be missing would be the year it was built and the location code, which is completely irrelevant at this point. The only thing you need to know is that everything at the end of this list, well, the only thing that's going to be exactly the same for this entire list is that it says at the end, purge from the GSA site, and all of the dates will be removed from website 3/5/2025. Okay. The link, okay, I already said that. They're saying that now it's been replaced by a page that says coming soon. That's not true. When I went there now, before I decided to make this long ass video, I actually went over there. It didn't say coming soon. Like I said, it gives you the opportunity to download it. As a matter of fact, while I'm talking, I'm going to go make sure I remove every little piece of that off of my computer. Make sure I shred it. Hold on, shred file. Anyway, so what they're doing is they're just putting it there. I guess they're just trying to see how many people are going to try to download it. When I did see it, I thought that it would be something I wouldn't have to worry about. I was like, oh, it's right there. What are these people talking about? Absolutely not. They're making sure this is not supposed to get back out. And that's why I'm here with you in the middle of the night, trying to get this out before it gets lost, because it will get lost. It will get lost, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm making sure the file is shredding. Yeah, everything's being shredded. Anyway, I'm going to keep on with the article. We are identifying buildings and facilities that are not core to government operations and non-core properties for disposal, the page states. Selling ensures that taxpayer dollars are no longer spent on vacant or underutilized federal spaces. Disposing of these assets helps eliminate costly maintenance and allows us to reinvest in high-quality work environments that support agency missions. In a Wednesday press statement, the GSA did not clarify why the list was deleted. Quote, to be clear, just because an asset is on the list doesn't mean it's immediately for sale, the statement reads. However, we will consider compelling offers in accordance with applicable laws and regulations and do what's best for the needs of the federal government and taxpayer. The agency added, we anticipate the list will be republished in the near future after we evaluate this initial input and determine how we can make it easier for stakeholders to understand the nuances of the assets listed. The Center for Medicare and Medical Services, the CMS, a federal agency within the Department of Health and Human Services, emailed employees about the list of buildings and noted that a number of its buildings were identified as non-core assets. CMS was not aware this was happening, and we didn't submit or approve any of our current office locations being on this list, the email states. We are in active discussions with HHS to ensure we have the facilities we need to fully return to the office in person and continue performing our critical mission. Sources tell Wired that the posting of the list yesterday has resulted in chaos at the GSA. There's a reason we have processes and they just don't follow them. One source says, amateur hour. Now I'm going to go back up to this. If you still don't think shit's going down, I can't help you after this. I can't, because I'm putting this stuff out. I'm putting out these videos. I'm trying to get all this information out there. But we got to start paying attention. We have to. Let's start with this list. It's going to take a minute. I'm not even going to edit this, by the way. If you stayed this long, thank you. But I am not editing any of this. I am exhausted. I did a 6-part series today. I'm tired. But this has to get out there. So I love you and thank you. And I hope that you appreciate my work. And if you do, please follow, like, and share this information. A lot of the stuff I put out over the last couple of days has been, I'm really pushing it at this point. But I need to get the information out. Anyway. Sorry. Here we go. Let's start with part 1. So we have, and by the way, this could be a place near you. So, East High Rise. This is, let me see, in Woodlawn, Maryland. Yes. And the representative name is Mafume. So we got Alt Higher building that's also in Woodlawn, Perimeter East building, West Low Rise, Woodlawn Child Care Center, East Low Rise, Perimeter East Utility Building, West High Rise, Supply, Annex to Social Security. So these are all in Mufume's, he's the representative of the congressional district. This is in his congressional district. He is also a Democrat. I'm just going to throw that out there. You don't like it? That's fine. You can come do this. 1, 2, all of the ones that I just said are at the installation name is the Woodlawn Complex, and they're all located at 6401 Security Woodlawn, Maryland Boulevard. Zip code 21287. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, we got Jamie Raskin. He is the congressional representative here. And we got the FRC Building 1 office. We have the FRC White Oak at Admiral House, North Garage, FRC Building Job Office, Southwest Garage, 132 Storage, 45 Truck Screening. And mind you, these are the names, the asset names. So just bear with me. Let's see, Admiral House, 71 office. Okay. These are all located in, hold on, Silver Springs, Missouri. That can't be right. No, that's Maryland. That has to be Maryland. Yeah, that has to be Maryland. Okay, anyway. And those are all located at I can't see. Yeah, that has to be Silver Spring, Maryland. Yeah, I got it. Okay, they're located at 18903 New Hampshire Avenue. All of those. And that's Silver Spring, Maryland. And the congressional representative, the congressional district, and the representative name is Jamie Raskins. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right. Okay, there's an entirely new list, and they're all in the same place. We got the FRC Building 21 office. Okay. The FRC facility-wide site infrastructure, G above standard. The Building 75 office. The Building 31 control shared use 2. Security building, Building 66. All of these, again, 18903 New Hampshire Avenue, Silver Spring, Maryland, and it's at the 2400 Congressional District, and the representative name is Jamie Raskin. And as I said before, now these were removed the same day they came out. I thought they were going to be the same. So this one was 3-4. All right, let's keep it moving. Man, they're going to shut down this guy's whole place. Okay, so we still have... All right, so far, there's been about 25 buildings in Silver Springs, Maryland, that they're looking to sell. All in Jamie Raskin's congressional district. So just keep that in mind. All right, we're moving on. Now we're heading into Texas. This is Austin. Hold on one second. Greg Cesar, his district. And he is, let's see, the VA Austin Auto Center, the Austin Finance Center. And this is at 1615 Woodward Street and 1619 Woodward. Hold on. All right, now we're going to Oregon, and this is Cliff Bentz, and he has 2 facilities in Medford, 4890 North Runway Drive, and it's both of them are post office, the USGS warehouse and the USGS building. So there's that. Now we're moving on to Virginia. And we have Gerald Connolly. He's the representative there. Let's see. And he's in Virginia. So we have, okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 post office that are going to close. Hold on. My bad. No, there's 1, 2 post office that are going to close in El Paso, Texas. And that's Veronica Escobar. And let's see. Now we have Earl Blumenauer. And this is in Troutdale, Oregon. So we have the Troutdale warehouse. Let's see. Okay, and now we have Tampa, Florida. We have the R.L. Timberlake. It's at Timberlake Fed Annex. That's at 500 East Zach Street in Tampa. And the representative is Kathy Castor. And then we have Sanford Bishop, and this is in Georgia. And Thomasville, Georgia. We got the Federal Regional Center. We got the, I don't know what that means. Okay, hold on. Yeah, they got a pretty good list too. Okay, so these are all located at 436 South Pine Tree Boulevard in Thomasville, Georgia. So we got the Federal Regional Center, the Something Center, the FEMA warehouse, and the PBS warehouse. Another Pine Tree Boulevard. It just says Pine Tree Boulevard. The MERS warehouse. Not sure what that means. Huh. All right. So now we're back in Maryland again. We have Glen Ivy. All right. So this is located at 4105 Sweetland and Sweetland Road in Sweetland, Maryland. So we got the Sweetland PLTFO complex, the AP Tower 1, the Sweetland Federal Center parking lot. Let's see. Is it Suitland? It might be Suitland. I'm sorry if it's Suitland. Okay, so I'm just gonna go with Suitland. We got the Suitland heating plant, Suitland House, Suitland Federal Center, the Washington National Records, Suitland facility-wide site infrastructure, Suitland Daycare Center, 4600 Silver Hill North, Suitland Trailer. We have the NOAA Satellite Operations Facility. We have 4600 Silver Hill South. I know that means something. I just don't know what. Okay, and now we're done with that. Now we're heading to Columbia, South Carolina. All right, let's see. Whose congressional district is this? And I haven't been writing these down. James Clyburn. So we have the Strom Thurmond Federal Building, the Strom Thurmond Complex, the Southeast Federal Center. Now, the first two, the Federal Building and the Strom Thurmond Complex, are both at 1 is in 1835 Assembly Street in Columbia, South Carolina. The other one's 1845. The next one is okay, that's why. All right, next we're going into DC. And who are you catching here? Eleanor Norton. Okay. All right, so here we go. Southeast Federal Center, Pot Annex 3, or Potomac, okay, Potomac Annex 2, Potomac Annex 3, Potomac Annex Powerhouse, Potomac Annex 5, and Potomac Annex 1. Don't know what any of these, and Potomac Annex 4. Okay. and the All Tech building. Nope, sorry, I went too far. Those are all located at 2300 East Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C. Now we're going back to Florida. So we got the All Tech building. That's the post office courthouse. And that's at West Palm Beach, Florida. And Louise Frankel is the representative there. All right. Now we're going to Frederick, Maryland. Man, Maryland's getting decimated so far. I haven't even really started. I'm stressing. So David Trone is the representative here. And this is in Frederick, Maryland. We got the Urbana Corporate Center facility, which is the National Support Center. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. And they're all located at 8999 Bennett Creek Boulevard in Frederick, Maryland. Now we're going to Vermont, and there's only one place so far. And it is, who's the representative here? Becca Balint. And it's the USPD Derby line? I have no idea. Okay, anyway, and that's at 84 Main Street in Vermont. Then we're going to go to Cali. So who's covering? We got Jimmy Gomez here, the Federal Building, and it's the Los Angeles Federal Center. That's at 300 North Los Angeles Street, LA, California. All right, now we're going back to Georgia. So this is just going back and forth to other places, but I'm still going to cover them. Listen, either you're going to listen to it or you're not. You know how many times I listen to stuff and I just have it playing in the background? I think I spend like 95% of my time playing my game on my tablet and having, stuff playing in the background. Anyway, so I'm going to keep going. So now we're going to Savannah, Georgia. So the Juliet Gordon Law Center and the IRS Chambly location. So one of them, nope. This is where I messed up. All right. Earl Carter is going to be the Juliet Gordon Law Center, and that's in Savannah, Georgia. That's at 180 West Oglethorpe. Then we have another place, the IRS Annex, and that's at 2385 Chambly Tucker Road in Chambly, Georgia. And that's Henry Johnson. And then we have the IRS Chambly Center. That's another one. But this one's in Atlanta. And that's at 00 Buford Highway. And that's, again, Henry Johnson. Then we have the Federal Building in Huntington, West Virginia. That is at 582 8th Street. And that is Rupensberger? Nope, that's Carol Miller. My bad. Then we have HCFA headquarters. And there's 2 buildings. They're both at 7500 Security Boulevard. I think we covered some of that in earlier stuff. This is just random stuff, by the way. They didn't put this in any particular order. Because remember, some of it was added, some of it was taken out, and this is a mix of both. So it's not exactly going to be perfect. Anyway, then we have that twice, and that's C. Rupensberger. And he's got a couple more buildings. Again, the HCFA, these are all located in the same place. So he still has 2 more places. Then we're going to go to Battle Creek, Michigan. And who are you? Bill Huizenga. So we got the Hart Dole Federal Center. Okay. 2 parts of that building. Building number 1. And then the actual Federal Center. And those are both located at 58 Washington Avenue N or North. Battle Creek, Michigan. All right. Who else we got? Okay, so we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So we have 10 more buildings, all at the same location. And they all have different numbers. So it's like building 28, Building 2A, Building 22. They're all located at 74 North Washington Avenue. And they're all called Hart, Dole. I can't figure out the bottom part. Anyway, Federal Center. And those are all under Bill Huizenga. Okay. Holy shit. This is the same dude. Man, they gotta shut down all of it. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have another 9 of that Federal Center. So we got Building 18 Federal Center. We have Federal Center Building number 1A. Yeah, okay. So that's all at 50 Washington Avenue N. And I know I should have said this in the beginning, and I'll probably just leave something at the beginning of the video. The reason why I want to actually bring these things up is because in the original article that I read, it literally states there are people who work in these buildings and don't know the buildings are up for sale. Even if they're like, oh, we have to pay for maintenance, that's somebody who works there. These are all buildings where people, well, I don't want to say all of them. I want to say maybe 85% of these buildings have people employed in them. I don't think almost all of the federal buildings in Battle Creek, Michigan are just vacant, just random vacant buildings. So just keep that, in your mind. All right, we're going to keep on. Now we're going to Schenectady, New York. Okay, who are you? Paul Tonka. So far we've got the GSA Depot. Okay. And that's at 1 Amsterdam Road. Okay, he's got more buildings. So we got the GSAs. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got 4 more buildings in Schenectady, and all are located at 1 Amsterdam Road. And that's Paul Tonka. Now we have Michael Turner in Dayton, Ohio. Okay. And this is the Dayton, Ohio warehouse, the GSA Dayton, Ohio Depot. And that's at 3158 Springboard. Yeah, Springboard and Dayton. Springboard Road, Dayton, Ohio. Now we're going to Guaynabo, Puerto Rico. That sounded so white. Okay, anyway. So that's a GSA Center. Let me see. Who's your Jennifer Gonzalez Colon. So we got... Okay, that's it so far for PR. All right. And that's at Insular Road 28 or 2B. And now we're going to Albuquerque, New Mexico. We got the GSA Albuquerque Annex. It's at 1000 12th Street Northwest. And that's at Melanie Stansbury. Okay, now we got Fort Snelling, Minnesota. Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building. And that's at 1 Federal Drive. And yeah, we have 2. Okay, so we got the FSS Fleet and the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building. That's Minnesota, and that's Elon Omar. Okay, who else we got? Now we're going to Santa Fe, New Mexico. We got Joseph M. Montoya Federal Building. And that is Teresa Lagar Fernandez. I really wish I could see better than this. This thing is so small. All right. I'm just trying to get comfortable. Okay. Now we're going to Miami, Florida. We got the David W. Dyer Courthouse. That's a federal courthouse. Hold on. That's at 380 Northeast 1st Street, Miami, Florida. And that is Maria Salazar. The next one we have is Pramila Jayapal. All right. And this is Seattle, Washington. So we got the Federal Center South office, the Southeast Parking, the Federal Center South. And they have 2 numbers. So it's Federal Center South. It's 1282 building, 12820. Okay, you get it. All right. And that is, on all of those are located at 4735 East Marginal Way South in Seattle, Washington. Now we're going to Mobile, Alabama. Let's see who's over there. Jerry Carl. And that's combined parking FAC. And then the federal building in Mobile, Alabama. One is located, the combined parking facility is at 167 St. Louis Street. And the other one is 189 St. Joseph Street. One's both the federal buildings, but one's a federal parking lot. Okay. Okay, now we're going to Raleigh, North Carolina. Let's see who's over there. Wiley Nickel. And it's a federal building at 318 New Bern Avenue in Raleigh. And now we're going to Charlottesville, Virginia. We have, let's see. Who's in Charlottesville? Bob Good. So we have a Federal Executive Institute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. And they're all located at 1301 Emmett Street North. Now we're going to Columbus, Ohio. And we got Mike Carey. And we got the Bricker Federal Building. And that's at 200 North High Street in Columbus, Ohio. Okay, now we're going to Maryland again. I got to find out what's going on with Maryland. All right. So now we're back in Maryland. We're in Laurel, Maryland. And that's Glen Ivy. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 facilities that are closing there. And I'm going to name some of them. So we have a animal laboratory. We have an FDA. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All 8 of the facilities they want to close down is an FDA laboratory. All of them. We got a waste management. We got a pump equipment. Let's see. We got animal loafing. I'm sure that's a thing. And we have pasture pads. Anyway, that's in Laurel, Missouri. I'm sure people work there. And that's getting shut down. Or sold. Sorry. Which means shut down. I don't know why I just tried to fix that. All right. We have Valley Beach Federal Complex. That's at 151 Patton Avenue. That's in Asheville, North Carolina. And that's Chuck Edwards. And then we have David Trone. And this is in Germantown, Maryland. And that's the Doe main building. The Edward Complex. At, my eyes. 19901 Germantown Road. And that's in Germantown, Maryland. Okay. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we have 7 more in Germantown, Maryland. And like I said, is David Trone. Let's see. And some of these are in different places. So one's an equipment shed, a daycare center, an auditorium, a radio blog, a Germantown campus. All right, I'm just going to tell you the addresses. So, Route 118, Germantown, Maryland. We have 19901, Germantown, Maryland. Then we have Route 118 3 times. So one's the equipment shed, one's the auditorium, and one's the radio blog. Like I said, I don't know what that means. Listen, I'm willing to read this. There's no way in hell I'm going to look up each individual place. This is why I'm letting you guys know, and then you guys can pick and choose what you want to do. Okay. Now we're going back to Portland, Oregon. And we have Earl Blumenauer again. I'm sure I'm not saying that right. Anyway, the 911 Federal Building and the BPA Building. And both of them are at, one's at 911 Northeast 11th Avenue in Portland, and the other one's at 985 Northeast 11th Avenue. Then we have Detroit, Michigan, and this is Shri Sandadar. And the Rosa Parks Federal Building at 985 Michigan Avenue. Let's see. and Rosa Parks Federal Building Garage, and that's at 985 Michigan Avenue in Detroit. And now we're going to Lakewood, Colorado. Who's in Lakewood? Brittany Patterson. So we got the Denver Federal Center, and it's multiple buildings, same place. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 so far. And they're all located at West 6th Avenue, 6 Gipling Street. It's either a 6 or a G. I really wish you could see how small this is. Let me see something. Yeah, I'm completely ridiculous. See, this is where the problem lies. I can make the page bigger, but then it takes the information and makes it smaller. So I just rather read it correctly. So I'm just gonna, okay. That says Avenue G. That has to be a G. Yeah, I'm gonna make that smaller. There's no way. Anyway, let's keep going. I hope you're having fun so far. Okay, let's go. Now, I think we're still in Lakewood, Colorado. Hold on. Yep, we're still in Brittany Patterson's district. So we still, okay, we have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we have another 9. All of them at West 6th, Kipling Street. And those are all federal centers. And now we're going to Hatorrey, PR. Yeah, I've never been to PR. I'm Puerto Rican, never been there. So, we got a child care center at 158 Carlos, East Chadron Street. And that's Jennifer Gonzalez Colon. And that's a Hatorrey, PR. That's a Hatorey, PR. All right. And another one, and this one's a garage, and it's at 150 Carlos Chadron. Okay. Now we're going to Dallas, Texas. We have the Santa Fe Federal Building at the Dallas Federal Complex at 1114 Commerce Street. Okay. And that is Jasmine Crockett. Oh, that's fun. And then we have Amy Dara. Wait, is that a D or a B? That's a B. That says Amy Barra. Ugh. All right. And this is Sacramento, California. And that's a federal building shop. And that is at 2000 Cottage Way, Sacramento. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of those buildings, all located at 2000 Cottage Way, Sacramento. Now we're going to Cincinnati, Ohio. This is Greg Landsman. And it's the John Weld Peck Building, the Cincinnati facility. That's at 550 Main Street in Cincinnati. Now we're going to Chicago, Illinois, and that's Jesus Garcia or Jesus Garcia. We got the FSS Pump House, the Federal Archive Record Center, and the USPO Loop Station. And that's also a federal center. And the first one is located at 4100 West 76. The other one's at 7358 South Pulaski. And the third is at 211 South Clark, all of them in Chicago, Illinois. And I apologize, even though the last one is in Chicago, that one is Representative Danny Davis. The other two are Jesus Garcia or Jesus Garcia. All right. What have we got now? We got Danny. I didn't see the mic there. We got Danny Davis. And this is the John C. Kalinsky Federal Building. Okay, and that's at 230 South Dearborn Street. Just making sure. Okay. Now we got McAllen, Texas. And this is Vicente Gonzalez. Okay, and this is the BPSH McAllen site at 2301 South Main Street in McAllen, Texas. And then we have a similar building but it's in Marfa, Texas, and it's at 300 West Madrid Street, and the representative there is Tony Gonzalez. Okay. Now we're going to Del Rio, Texas, and this is Del Rio Probation Building. Hold on. Let me make sure. Then okay, and those are all Tony Gonzalez. So he's got the Del Rio Probation Building, the Del Rio Building Foreshop, and an auto bus maintenance building. And they're all located at 700 Qualia Drive in Del Rio, Texas. Okay, then we got Austin, and this is Lloyd Doggett. And this is the J.J. Jake Pickle Federal Building at 300 East 8th Street in Austin. Now we're going to Anchorage, Alaska, and this is Mary Peltola. This is the Anchorage Historic Federal Building Garage, and it's at 654 West 3rd in Anchorage. All right, now we're going, okay. The Charles F. Prevedel Building, Federal Building, and that's at 9700 Page Boulevard in Overland, Missouri, and that's Corey Bush. And then we have Dwight Evans in Philadelphia, the Veterans Administration Center at 5000 Wissahickon Avenue. That sounds horrible. Okay, we'll go into the next one. All right. Again, that federal building, the Veterans Building, and another federal building. With Dwight Evans in Philadelphia, PA. Now we're going back to DC, and that's Eleanor Norton, and it just says 2430 East Street. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3 of those buildings that are all located at 2430 East Street Northwest. And those are all of Washington, D.C. And then we have the Forest Service Building in Elkins, West Virginia. Oh, no. Where are you? Elkins, West Virginia at 200 Sycamore Street. And that's Alexander Mooney. And then we have another, the Mississippi River Commission at 1400 Walnut Street, and that's in Vicksburg, Mississippi, and that's Benny Thompson. Then we have Ann Custer, and that's the Social Security Administration in Littleton, and that's at Main Street, Littleton, New Hampshire. Okay, then we have the Richard Bowling Federal Building at 601 East 12th Street in Kansas City, Missouri. And that is Emmanuel Cleaver. Then we have Erin Hochin. And this is in Albany, Indiana. And it is the Lee H. Hamilton Federal Building and United States Courthouse. Then we have the R.G. Stevens Jr. at 355 East Hancock in Athens, Georgia. And that's Mike Collins. All right. We're going to keep going. The new IRS Service Center, that's at 5333 Getwell Road in Memphis, Tennessee. And that is Stephen Cohen. And then we have Michelle Fischenbach. That sounds great. That's the Edward J. DeWitt U.S. Courthouse and Federal Building. And that's at 118 South Mill Street in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Then we have the Iowa City Federal Building at 400 South Clinton Street, and that's Iowa City, Iowa. And that is Marionetta Miller Meeks. And now we have Harold Johnson, and that is the Carl D. Perkins Building, 1485 Greenup Avenue, Ashland, Kentucky. Then we have the Glenn M. Anderson Federal Building, 501 West Ocean Boulevard in Long Beach, California. And that is Robert Garcia. Then we have Veronica Escobar. And that's the Richard C. White Federal Building, 700 East San Antonio Avenue in El Paso, Texas. Then we have the Joseph P. Abadu building. That's at 155-10 Jamaica Avenue in Jamaica, New York. And that's Gregory Meeks. Then we have Chantel Brown. And that's the A.J. Celebres Federal Building. That's at 1240 East 9th Street in Cleveland, Ohio. Then we have the Federal Building, Huron Federal Building at 200 4th Street Southwest in Huron, South Dakota. And that is Dusty Johnson. Then we have Emmanuel Cleaver again. And that is 23. It's not saying what it is really, but it just says the address. So it's 2306 East Bannister Road in Kansas City, Missouri. Okay. So we got the Social Security Administration, Riverfall, and that's at 400 North Main Street, Riverfall, Massachusetts. That's Jake Auchincloss. And then we have Teresa Lager Fernandez. That's in Gallup, New Mexico. The Gallup Federal Building at 305 West Hill Avenue. Then we have another federal building at 200 South Jefferson Street in Winchester, Tennessee. That is Scott DeJarlis. Then we have Troy Carter. The St. Charles parking lot at 720 St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans, Louisiana. Then we have Blake Moore. This is the Wallace F. Bennett Federal Building at 125 South State Street, Jesus, in Salt Lake City, Utah. Then we have the Social Security Administration Building at 104 North Mentor Avenue in Pasadena, California. That's Judy Chu. Then we have Donald Davis, the U.S. Courthouse in Greenville, North Carolina, at 215 Evans Street. Then we have Max Miller. This is the Donald J. Pease Federal Building at 143 West Liberty Street in Medina, Ohio. Then we got the Chaz E. Bennett Federal Building at 400 West Bay Street in Jacksonville, Florida, and that's Aaron Bean. Then we have Ryan Zinke at the Bozeman Federal Building at 10 East Babcock Street in Bozeman, Montana. Jesus Christ. Okay. Man, thank God I know my states. That would suck. Anyway, okay. Pramila Jayapal, Seattle, Washington. It's the Seattle Federal Office Building at 909 First Avenue. Then we got the Frederick C. Humphrey Federal Building at 300 Trapello Road in Waltham, Massachusetts. That's Catherine Clark. And then we got Matt Cartwright. That's at Social Security Administration Trust Fund Building in Hazeltown, Pennsylvania. And that's at 68 South Laurel Street. Then we have 11 West Quincy Court at 11 West Quincy Court, Chicago, Illinois. And that is Danny Davis. Then we have Chris Stewart. And that's the St. George Federal Building at 196 East Tabernacle Street in St. George, Utah. All right. Then we got the Ronald H. Brown U.S. Mission to the UN at 799 United Nations Plaza, New York City, New York. And that's Gerald Nadler. Then we got Robert Menendez. And that is the Newark Surface Parking Lot at 30 East Kinney in Newark, New Jersey. We got the Leo W. O'Brien Federal Building at 1 Clinton Avenue in Albany, New York. And that's Paul Tonko. No, I'm not cutting this up into pieces either. If you want, you could just pause it and come back to it later. There's no way in hell I'm going to try to chop this up. This is information you're not going to have anybody else. I swear. Sit in their house at 12:30 in the morning now. I started this at 11 something. It's 12:36. I'm exhausted. I did a bunch of shows today. Found this and I'm so terrified that I'm not going to be able to tell it to you. That I'm going to finish it today. Okay. I'm just taking a break. Okay, let's go. Now we have, let's see. We got Diana Degare, and that's 22nd G Stout Street Surface Parking Lot at 22DG Stout, Denver, Colorado. We got the U.S. Custom House in Philadelphia at 200 Chestnut Street, Philadelphia, PA. That's Brendan Boyle. Then we have Don Bacon and the Edward Zorinsky Federal Building, 1616 Capitol Avenue, Omaha, Nebraska. We got Martinsburg Child Care Center at 250 Morrill Drive in Martinsburg, West Virginia. And that is Alexander Mooney. Then we have John Larson. And that's the William R. Cotter Federal Building at 135 High Street in Hartford, Connecticut. Then we have J. Roy Rowland Federal Courthouse at 100 North Franklin Street, Dublin, Georgia. That's Rick Allen. Then we have James Clyburn. It's Matthew J. Perry Jr. Parking Lot, 1100 Richland Street in Columbia, South Carolina. We got the Social Security Administration Building at 850 Nebraska Avenue in Kansas City, Kansas. And that's John LeTurner. Then we have Emmanuel Cleaver, and that's 2312 East Bannister Road. It doesn't say what kind of building it is, but it's in Kansas City, Missouri. It just gives the address. Edmund S. Muskie Federal Building at 40 Western Avenue in Augusta, Maine. And that's Jared Golden. All right. Let's keep it moving. We're getting through it. All right. So we have James A. Reedon U.S. Courthouse. That's at 310 West 6th Street, Medford, Oregon. And that is Cliff Bentz. Then we have Jill Takudo. And that is the Federal Building and USPD Building. And that's 154. Ew, how do you say that? Oh, no wonder. I'm not going to say it right. It's in Hilo, Hawaii. The Federal Building. That's all. Yeah, I can't. I know I'm going to butcher it. So I'm not going to. All right. Anyway. Then we have Ship Chandlery. That's at 210 St. Louis Street in Mobile, Alabama. That is Jerry Carl. We have Diana DeJetti. And that's California State Federal Garage at 2106 California Street in Denver, Colorado. We have the IRS Center in Ogden, Utah. And there's two addresses. So one's at 1160 West and 1200 South. And that is Blake Moore. Now we have Doris Matusi. That's the Federal Building, 801 First Street. And that's Sacramento, California. Then we have the L. Clure Morton Building. Some of these, it says USPO/CH. So that's at 9 East Broad Street in Cookeville, Tennessee. And that's John Rose. Now we have Robert Scott. And that's the Owen B. Pickett U.S. Custom House. That's at 101 East Main in Norfolk, Virginia. We got the Center Phase at 4050 Alpha Road, Farmers Branch, Texas. And that's Colin Allred. We have Sheila Jackson Lee. And that is the Houston Custom House at 701 San Jacinto Street in Houston, Texas. We got the Minneapolis, Minnesota Social Security Administration at 1011 Chicago Avenue South, Minneapolis. And that's Elon Omar. Then we got Daniel Kildee, and that's the Saginaw, Michigan Social Security Administration Building. That's 611 East Janice Avenue in Saginaw, Michigan. You know I'm crazy, right? All right, we have, I'm going to go with Federal Building. At 401, there's two. So, the one address is at 401 Southeast and then First Avenue. Both are in Gainesville, Florida. And that's Kat Comack. Or Comack. Andrew Carson. And that's the Major General Emmett J. Bean Building. And that's at 8899 East 56th Street, Indianapolis, Indiana. Then we have the John Volpe Transportation System Center. That's at 220 Binney Street in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And that's Ayanna Presley. Then we have Cliff Bentz. And that's the David J. Wheeler Federal Building at 1550 Dewey Avenue in Baker City, Oregon. We have 18 West Jackson, and that just has an address. 18 West Jackson Building, Chicago, Illinois, and that is Danny Davis. Okay. So we got a parking facility in Portland at 27 Brattle Street, Portland, Maine, and that's Shelley Pingree. And then we have Kelly Armstrong, and that's a federal building in Fargo, North Dakota at 657 2nd Avenue. And we have East St. Louis, Illinois Federal Building at 650 Missouri Avenue in East St. Louis, Illinois. And that's Nikki Budinsky. Then we have Ilhan Omar, Paul D. Wellstone Federal Building at 212 3rd Avenue in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We have the Montgomery Bus Station at 210 South Court, Montgomery, Alabama, and that's Terry Sowell. We got Matt Cartwright, Federal Building, the Wilkes-Barre Federal Building at 1150 East Mountain Drive, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Then we have sorry, I forgot to tell you who that was. Matt Cartwright. And then we have Melanie Stansberry, and that's the Albuquerque Federal Parking Garage at 581 Lead Avenue Southwest, Albuquerque, New Mexico. We have the Judge Bruce M. Van Sickle Federal Building at 101st Street Southwest in Minoy, North Dakota. That's Kelly Armstrong. Then we have Andrew Carson at Minton Cape Wright Federal Building at 575 North Pennsylvania Street, Indianapolis, Indiana. We have Clyde S. Cahill Memorial Park at 112 South 10th Street in St. Louis, Missouri, and that's Corey Bush. We're almost done. Okay, we have the Mid-Atlantic Social Security Center at 300 Spring Garden Street, Philadelphia, PA, and that's Brandon Boyle. Then we have Bill Pasquarel, and that's the Robert A. Rowe Federal Building at 200 Federal Plaza in Paterson, New Jersey. We got the Brickell Plaza Building at 909 Southeast 1st Avenue in Miami, Florida, and that's Maria Salazar. We have Matt Cartwright. We have a maintenance building at 1150 East Mountain Drive, Willsbar, Pennsylvania. We got Prince H. Preston Federal Building at 52 Main Street in Statesboro, Georgia. That's Rick Allen. Then we have a Henry Johnson. The Lawson, it's a building called Lawson. 4000 Beaufort Highway, Chamblee, Georgia. And that is who? Henry Johnson. Okay, we have Suzanne Banamici, and that's the Edith Green Wendell Wyatt Federal Building at 1220 Southwest 3rd Avenue in Portland, Oregon. We have the Howard Street, Detroit, Michigan Federal Parking Facility at 530 Howard Street in Detroit, and that's Shri Thandadar. And then we have Daniel Goldman, the Ted Weiss Federal Building at 920 Broadway, New York, New York. Then we have the Henry M. Jackson Federal Building at 915 2nd Avenue, Seattle, Washington, and that's Pramila Jayapal. Every time I see her name, I know I'm saying it wrong, and then I think I'm trying to correct it, and then I'm sure I'm saying it worse. Anyway. All right. Oh, I'm asleep like a baby. All right, let's go. We got the Social Security building in Lewiston, 1617 19th Avenue, Lewiston, Idaho, and that's Russ Fulcher. Then we have Andrew Garbarino, and that's the Alfonso D'Amato Child Care Center at 10 Federal Plaza in Central Islip, New York. Then we have the U.S. Custom House in Portland at 312 4th Street, and not the number 4, Fore Street, Portland, Maine, and that's Shelley Pingree. We got Jimmy Gomez, Federal Building and U.S. Courthouse, 312 North Spring Street, Los Angeles, California. U.S. Custom House in New Bedford at 37 North 2nd Street, New Bedford, Massachusetts. And that's William Keating. Then we have Diana DeJet, Cesar E. Chavez Memorial Building, 1244 Spear Boulevard in Denver, Colorado. We have Dennis Chavez. Dennis? Yeah. Dennis Chavez Federal Building, 500 Golds Avenue, Southwest, Albuquerque, New Mexico. And that's Melanie Stansberry. Then we have Adam Harris. The Maud Towson Federal Building, 129 East Main Street, Salisbury, Maryland. We got Rouse's Pointland Port of Entry at 19th Street, Johns Highway, and Rouse's Point, New York. And that's Elise Stefanik. And then we got Zachary Nunn. And it's the Neil Smith Federal Building, 210 Walnut Street, Des Moines, Iowa. I can't believe you're still here. Okay. Thank you. All right. We have Dick Cheney Federal Building, 100 East B Street in Casper, Wyoming. That is Harriet Hagman. Then we got David Kostoff, and that's Ed Jones Federal Building and Courthouse. That's 109 South Highland Avenue in Jackson, Tennessee. We got the JFK Federal Building, 15 New Sodbury Street in Boston, Massachusetts. That's Stephen Lynch. We got Veronica Escobar, the R.E. Thompson Courthouse. That's 511 East San Antonio Avenue, El Paso, Texas. And we have Andrew Garbarino. That's the IRS Service Center, 1048 Waverly Avenue, Holtsville, New York. Okay, because I'm going to forget. I don't know if you remember in the beginning, if you were here, but they were saying that there were some places that, okay, so when it was originally taken down, they did put it back up and they revised it. And they said, oh, oops, there were some things we put there that aren't supposed to really be there. They put it back and then they put non-listed. But originally it was listed. And then they took the page down completely. When I started just now, please don't think that this has been happening the whole time because I'd be pissed. When I started with the Dick Cheney building, it now says not listed. And it was removed, right? These are the buildings they panicked about. So we got the Dick Cheney building. We got the Ed Jones building. We got the JFK Federal Building. We got the R.E. Thompson Courthouse. We got the IRS Service Center. We got the Social Security Administration Torrington. And let me not get past that. So that's at 147 Litchfield Street. And that's in West Torrington, Connecticut. That's Johanna Hayes. Then we got Becca Balint. And that's Montpelier Social Security Office. It says not listed. 33 School Street, Montpelier or Pellier, Vermont. We got Silvio Molo Federal Building. 1 St. Andrews Plaza, New York, New York. Who's that? Daniel Goldman. And that says not listed. Now, mind you, it says not listed now, but this was on the original list. They panicked, and then they put not listed. Okay, then we have Winston Prouty Federal Building. That's at 11 Lincoln Street in Essex Junction, Vermont. And that's Becca Ballant. I'm going to see. I think from here on in, all of them are going to be non-listed. Oh, Wired did such a good job on this article. Okay. Everything else was super important. Absolutely. These are the ones that they really didn't want to know. So here's what I'm going to do. Since you're here with me, let's do something really, really quick. So according to them, a lot of these buildings are vacant, or nobody's really working there. So now that we're in the non-listed part, I'm just going to put in one of the random ones. I'm going to start. Let's go with the first one on the new list that I was going to put. Let's put Claude Pepper Federal Building. Claude Pepper Fed Building. And that's in Miami, Florida. Let's see. Well, it seems to be open. It has a website. It opens at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Hold on. Okay. This is, I clicked on the website. Oh, it's a full federal building. Full federal building. Let me see something. Okay, like I said, hold on, because I don't want to be wrong, because I don't like being wrong. So let's make sure I'm right. 51 Southwest First Avenue. Let me check the paperwork. First Avenue. Yes, that's correct. And that's correct. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just checking really quick. I have to make sure that this place is legitly functioning and that there's nothing wrong with it. It's fully functional. It works. It's open. And I just need to make sure. Okay. I'm going to go to the gsa.gov site. I need to make sure that everything I'm reading from here on in has some kind of... Okay. This is the Claude Pepper Federal Building. And as soon as you guys want to click on that, that'd be great. This is giving me a headache. Okay. That's in Miami, Florida. GSA's Fine Arts Collection is one of the oldest and largest public arts. Let's see. Okay, I'm just going to keep going because my brain's starting to hurt. I don't use... I have special browsers that I use for special things. And this is not one of those browsers. So because I'm nuts, I am going to go back. I'm going to go to the browser I would look into and find it here. Okay. I need to make sure there's a fully functioning building. Claude Pepper Federal Building. It opens tomorrow at 8 a.m. It's a beautiful building, by the way. Okay. This is exactly what I saw before. Okay. So the GSA, remember that. When I don't know if you would, but in the very beginning, it's the GSA that was putting up these buildings, that was putting up this information. So it's saying here, it's not giving me any, and it's pissing me off because everything I'm looking at, it says an official website that you say, okay, thank you. And it's showing just pieces of art. It says 1 of 5 artworks in this building. So whoop-de-doo? Like, I'm not understanding. Anyway, see? This is where my brain goes. This is why I can't be trusted to look stuff up. Because I venture off. I had to take you there with me. The building exists. It's still at the General Services Administration. It's a federal building. It opens tomorrow. So, yes. This is the freaking GSA. All right, I'm going to close that. I'll do that in my own time. Anyway, I had to. Okay, let's keep going. So we got the Silvio D. Conte Federal Building at 70 Center Street in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. That's Richard Neal's district. We got Becca Belaint, the Federal Building at 50 South Main Street, St. Albans, Vermont. Mind you, these say not listed. Okay, we have Kwesley Mafume, and that's the U.S. Custom House at 40 South Gay Street in Baltimore, Maryland. Then we have Steve Cohen. That's Ordell Horton Federal Building at 167 Main Street, North Main Street in Memphis, Tennessee. We got the H. Washington Center at 600 West Madison Street in Chicago, Illinois. That's Danny Davis. We have Alexander Mooney. We got the Martinsburg Computing Center at 250 Merle Drive in Martinsburg, West Virginia. We got the Metcalf building at 77 West Jackson Boulevard in Chicago. And that's Danny Davis. We got Doris Matsui. And that's the John E. Morse Federal Building at 650 Capitol Mall, Sacramento, California. Are you starting to notice kind of like all of these, the last two lists that I've gone through are all federal buildings? All of them are federal buildings. There's no way that there's 50, 60, or 100 entire federal buildings that are vacant or not being used. Okay. We got the let's see, the federal office building in Richmond, Virginia at 400 North 8th Street, and that is Jennifer McLennan. We got Jasmine Crockett at the A.M. Smith Federal Building at 525 South Griffin Street in Dallas. We got the Federal Building Santa Ana at 34 Civic Center Plaza, Santa Ana, California. That's Jay Carrera. We got Kay Granger, and that is Fort Worth Federal Park Garage at 401 Texas Street, Fort Worth, Texas. We got the William S. Moorhead Federal Building at 1000 Liberty Avenue in Pittsburgh, PA. And that's Summer Lee, the representative Summer Lee. And I'm only mentioning that is because I haven't seen her name. And it's a really cute name. Anyway, then we have Harold Rogers. Come on. And that's the POCT, Pikerville, Kentucky. At 102 Main Street in Pikeville, Kentucky. The Hannibal Federal Building at 601 Broadway, Hannibal, Missouri. And that is Sam Graves. Then we got Robert Garcia. And that is at the SSA building, Social Security Administration building at 6303 Rugby Avenue, Huntington Park, California. Then we have the Alliance Tower at 8701 South Grosvenor Drive in Houston, Texas. And that's Al Green. Got to throw him some props. Al Green is the guy that got thrown out of that little fiasco, that little congressional or union or whatever, that little speech he got thrown out with yesterday. With Trump. And then I did a show a couple of weeks back, and he actually put in articles of impeachment for Trump weeks ago. Nobody talks about it, but his name is Al Green, and you can't forget that. I love me some Al Green. Anyway, so then we have Cori Bush. Hold on. That's the Robert A. Young Federal Building, and that's at 1222 Spruce Street in St. Louis, Missouri. By the time I get to the end and it still says non-listed, you're going to come with me, but I'm going to go look and see if there's any other buildings that are just completely full of shit. I got to make sure because it's starting to freak me out. Okay, Sam Nunn Atlanta Federal Center, and that's at 108 Alabama Street Southwest in Atlanta, Georgia. That is Nakima Williams. Then we got Ed Case. And that's Forrest Armstrong Parking, Forest Avenue, Honolulu, Hawaii. We got Custom House, 618 South Canal Street. That's Chicago, Illinois. And that's Danny Davis. We got Marie Perez. And that is Vancouver Federal Building at 500 West 12th Street in Vancouver, Washington. We got the Tuscan Federal Building at 300 West Congress Street, Tucson, Arizona. And that's Raul Grivajalva. I'm sure I'm butchering that. Kelly Armstrong. We have Federal Parking Lot, First and Thayer in Bismarck, North Dakota. We got Austin, Minnesota Social Security Administration at 404 2nd Street Northwest in Austin, Minnesota. And that's Brad Finstad. We got Andrew Ogles. And that's at a federal building, Columbia. 815 South Garden Street, Columbia, Tennessee. We got the Federal Building and U.S. Courthouse at 528 Water Street in Port Huron, Michigan. And that is Lisa McLean. We got Danny Davis. And it's 238 East State Street. Doesn't tell you what kind of building, but it's at 238 South State Street in Chicago, Illinois. I promise we're almost done. Nathaniel R. Jones Federal Building and Courthouse, 18 East Commerce Street in Youngstown, Ohio, and that is Bill Johnson. Then we got Mike Kelly, the Baker Building, and that's at 18 East 7th Street in Erie, Pennsylvania. We got William Natchez Federal Building, and it's at 242 East Main Street, Bowling Green, Kentucky, and that's Brett Guthrie. We got Kevin McCullen, and that's the Leo J. Ryan Federal Record Center, and that's at 1800 Commodore Drive, San Bruno, California. We got a Aberdeen Federal Building at 115 4th Avenue Southeast and Aberdeen, South Dakota. That is Dusty Johnson. We got Terminal Annex Federal Building at 207 South Houston Street in Dallas. That is Jasmine Crockett. We got Joe Negus. Fort Collins Federal Building, 301 South House Street, Fort Collins, Colorado. We got Oklahoma City Federal Building, 301 Northwest 6th Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. That's Stephanie Bice. We got Tony Cardanos, James C. Corman Federal Building at 6230 Van Nuys Boulevard in Van Nuys, California. We got the Eugene Federal Building at 211 East 7th Avenue, Eugene, Oregon, and that's Val Hoyle. All right. We got the San Antonio Federal Parking Garage. That's at 661 East Travis Street, San Antonio, Texas. That's Henry Cellular. We got Tim Burchett, and that's the John J. Duncan Federal Building, 718 Locust Street, Knoxville, Tennessee. We got the Welton Street Federal Garage at 2101 Welton Street in Denver, Colorado. That is Diane DeJet. We got Lori Trahan, and that's Philip J. Philbin Federal Building at 881 Main Street in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. We got the FDA Federal Building at 22201 23rd Drive, Bothwell, Washington. And that is Suzanne Delbane. Ruben Gallego. That's the GSA parking lot, 314 North 2nd Street, Phoenix, Arizona. We got Roman Mazzoli Federal Building at 600 Dr. Martin Luther King Place in Louisville, Kentucky. That is Morgan McGarvey. We got Guy Reschenthaler. That's 122 West 3rd. It just says 122 West 3rd Street Building in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. We got the Harold L. Murphy Federal Building and United States Courthouse at 600 East 1st Street in Rome, Georgia. And that's Marjorie Green. We got Jeff Duncan at the G. Ross Anderson Jr. Courthouse and Federal Building at 315 South McCoffey Street in Anderson, South Carolina. I promise you we're almost done. Okay. We have Stars Child Care Center, and that's at 3651 South 35. Austin, Texas, that's Greg Cesar. We got John Joyce. That's the Social Security Administration Trust Fund Building, and that's at 58 North 3rd Street in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. We got the IRS Center at 310 Lowell Street, Andover, Maine, and that's Seth Moulton. We got Coesley Mufame, and that's the G.H. Fallon Federal Building at 31 Hopkins Plaza, Baltimore, Maryland. Again, just in case, because I know you get lost, I get lost. These are all still the non-listed. By the end of this, I am going to go to just 2 or 3 random non-listed spots, probably on the very last page. And I'm going to see if these are legit buildings. Because all I'm noticing a lot of these are blue states. Or they're in congressional districts filled with Democrats. So, but there's only so much I can do tonight. I'll probably hit it tomorrow if I feel like it. I don't know. If I could talk, if I have a voice by tomorrow. All right, we got the George Thomas Mickey Leiden Federal Building at 1919 Smith Street, and that's Houston, Texas, and that's Sheila Jackson Lee. Then we got Kay Granger, and that's the Fritz G. Lanham Federal Building at 819 Taylor Street, Fort Worth, Texas. We got the Federal Courthouse at 418 North Patterson Street in Valdosta, Georgia. That's Austin Scott. We got Nancy Pelosi. Dude. There you go. You know I have to check. You know I have to check. It's called Speaker Nancy Pelosi Federal Building. I swear. You've got to be kidding me. You know I'm going to check. You know I'm going to check. You know I'm going to check. I have to check. I have to check while you guys are here. Speaker Pelosi Federal Building. I have to. 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 It's fully open. Actually, it's new. It's new. I'm on the GSA. Like I said, I don't think they're expecting people like me to go to like individual spots under the GSA because they're the ones that were trying to hide this in the first place. But I never heard that Nancy Pelosi, it's literally called Speaker Nancy Pelosi Federal Building. And it's fully functional. And it says here it's for the public. It's at 97th Street, San Francisco, California. Open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekends except federal holidays. And it says its primary tenants, the things that are in this building, are the office of Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, the Department of Labor, Department of Health and Human Services, the Department of Agriculture, a Social Security Administration, and the U.S. Department of Transportation. Yeah. They even have food. A G-Rabbit snack shop, vending machines on the 11th floor, a Bamboo Asia restaurant. Opened in 2007. Oh, I thought it said 2017. Opened in 2007, the 17-story tower designed by Thomas Maine of Morphosis is an architectural landmark in San Francisco. The building's shape and orientation maximize national airflow for cooling and ventilation and take advantage of natural daylight for the majority of office interiors. This is up for grabs. This is up for grabs. They have a conference center, a theater, classrooms, conference rooms. This place is open. All right. How was that? Okay. You know where I'm going to go with this. I had to check. I didn't really think it was a building like that. So let's go back. You know, I'm getting lost in the sauce over here. So bear with me again. I'm going to keep going. Yeah, I needed to be sure. There's a couple of people in there that you know that shit's on purpose. I'm just saying. So we got the Dr. A.H. Federal Building at 100 West Capitol Street in Jackson, Mississippi. And that's Benny Thompson. Then we got Stephen Lynch. That's the Thomas P. Neal Jr. Federal Building at 10 Causeway Street in Boston, Massachusetts. Then we got the GSA something pool. All right, that's at 701 South Clinton Street in Chicago, Illinois. And that is under Danny Davis. Then we have another Nancy Pelosi Federal Office Building at 50 United Nations Plaza in San Francisco. Then we have a federal building, 20 Washington Place in Newark, New Jersey. And that is Donald Payne. Then we have Mike Rogers. And that's the G.W. Andrews Courthouse and Federal Building at 708 Avenue. Opelika, Alabama. And that's Mike Rogers. Then we have Barry Moore. That's the Courthouse and Federal Building at 100 West Troy Street in Dothan, Alabama. We have Senator Paul Simon Federal Building at 250 West Cherry Street at Carbondale, Illinois. And that's at Mike Boast. We have Summerlee again. And it's the 6117 Station Street in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Then we have the Martin Luther King Jr. Federal Building at 77 Forsyth Street Southwest in Atlanta, Georgia. And that's Nakima Williams. And then we have a William Timmons and the Donald Stewart Russell Federal Courthouse, and that's at 201 Magnolia Street in Spartanburg, South Carolina. We got the American Red Cross at 2825 East Street Northwest in Washington, D.C., and that's Eleanor Norton. Then we have Advanced Systems Center at 22201 Sunrise Valley Drive. That's in Reston, Virginia, and that's Gerald Connolly. And then we have Eleanor Norton, and that's the Forestal Daycare at 1000 Independence Avenue Southwest in Washington, D.C. Then we have White Flint North Lot. Doesn't say anything else. 5450 Marinelli Road in Rockville, Maryland. Yes. And that's Jamie Raskin. And then we have another Jamie Raskin at Social Security Metro Center at 1335 East West Highway, Silver Springs, Maryland. And then we have Hubert Humphrey Building at 200 Independence Avenue Southwest. That's in D.C. And that's Eleanor Norton. Then we have Steny Hoyer and the Bowie Computer Center at 1701 Melford Boulevard in Bowie, Maryland. Then we have the Mary E. Switzer Building at 338 C Street Southwest. That's Washington, D.C. And that's Eleanor Norton. The next one will also be Eleanor Norton. And that's also the Veterans Administration at 818 Vermont Avenue in Washington, D.C. And she keeps going. All right. So we have two more for Eleanor Norton. You know what I mean. The James L. Whiten Federal Building at 1400 Independence Avenue in D.C. And the Court of... I don't know what that means. And that's at 450 East Street Northwest. That's Washington, D.C. And the... it's the Congressional District of Eleanor Norton. Almost done. You know I'm tired. I'm like singing. All right. We have the Central Something Plant, and that's at 325 13th Street, and that's in D.C. And that's Eleanor Norton. Okay. If I'm not saying the representative name, it's because it's the same person. We also have the remote delivery site, South Capitol Street, Washington, D.C. We got the Wilbur Wright, doesn't tell you what it is. It's at 600 Independence Avenue Southwest in D.C. The GSA, which is weird because I think it's the place that they're talking about that makes these stupid maps. That's in D.C. Let me make sure it's the same person. Yep, we're still doing Eleanor Norton's districts. We got the Wilbur J. Cohen Building at 330 Independence Avenue in D.C. We got the Central Plant, again, another one, at 325 13th Street in D.C. All right, we're out of Eleanor's stuff right now. Okay, so we have South Washington Boulevard Land, 4th Street. There's two. So one's at 4th Street South and South Washington Boulevard. Both of them are Arlington, Virginia, and that is Donald Bayer, or Dare. I think it's a Bayer. And we got Eleanor Norton again. So we got the Jet. All right. Did you? Okay. I don't know if. Okay. So I explained non-listed. In the beginning of the article that I read, in the very beginning part of this, Kash Patel said he was going to take down that building. That building was on the original list. And now you can't see the list. I got the list. And it says non-listed. This was on the original list. All of these buildings in D.C. J. Edgar Hoover Building. We know people work there. That's at 935 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest. And again, that is our buddy Eleanor Norton. And then we got the Judiciary Square. That's 633 3rd Street Northwest, D.C. We got the Steam District Tunnels, 381 13th Street, Washington, D.C. When they said they wanted to tear up Washington, they were not kidding. We got the Forestal at 1000 Independence Avenue, Washington, D.C. Diplomacy Museum, 330 21st Street, Washington, D.C. The Post Office at 1100 Pennsylvania Avenue in D.C. Orville Wright Building, I'm going to say the 600 Independence Avenue, DC. The Federal Trade Building, 600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest. Francis Perkins Building, 200 Constitution Avenue. American Red Cross Building at 2825 East Southwest Washington, D.C. Lafayette, don't know what that means. It doesn't say anything. 811 Vermont Avenue, Northwest. 321st Street, doesn't tell you what it is. Washington, D.C. Agra South, 1400 Independence Avenue. All of these, Washington, D.C., all of them, Eleanor Norton. And this is the last page, so let's have fun with it. We have the Robert F. Kennedy Building at 958 Pennsylvania Avenue. Eleanor Norton. All right, so we're out of D.C., kinda. Yeah, we're about to get back in it. And we have one White Flint at 11555 Rockville Pike, Bethesda, Maryland. That's Jamie Raskin. We have Donald Bayer or Dyer, not sure. And it doesn't say what the building is, but it's at 1881 North Lynn Street in Arlington, Virginia. And then we're going to have some more fun with our buddy, Eleanor Norton. The Theodore Roosevelt Building at 1900 East Street, Washington, D.C. The Robert C. Weaver Building, 451 7th Street, Washington, D.C. Then we have, then we have the Mercure Business Park at 44132 Mercer Circle, Starling, Virginia, and that's Jennifer Wexton. And we're back to our buddy, Eleanor Norton, for the U.S. International Building at 701 East Street, Northwest, Washington, and Columbia Plaza at 2401 East Street, Northwest, D.C. And then our last one is New Carrollton Federal Building at 500 Ellen Road in Lanham, Maryland, and that's Glen Ivy. Okay, I know you're not going to stick around. Look, you never know. Listen, if it was me, if I was literally not doing shit and I'm playing my game and I want to hear some interesting stuff, I'd listen. So I'm not going to act like, oh, you might be annoyed, you might be bored. Yeah. Follow my page. It's weird stuff like this, but I can guarantee you, if you went to that GSA site right now, you won't find this. I'm reading it to you because you can't find it. When I tried to get this Wired thing, I couldn't open it. And this is why I had to read it out loud. I wasn't going to take a shot that they were going to take this page down. It's not supposed to be up. So, all right. I'm going to go back. I just want to do like one thing. I'm going to see if they're really going to close the Robert F. Kennedy Building. All right, let's see. I have to. Robert F. Kennedy Building. They know damn well there is no reason whatsoever. It's the R.F. Kennedy Department of Justice Building. Okay. And it goes back to the GSA. Okay, let's see if you'll. This will be the test. It says, I'm at the GSA, and it says you can read about the building. Fantastic. Primary tenant, the U.S. Department of Justice. Okay, and that's it. It says security and access is closed to the public. The building interior includes numerous murals and sculptures illustrating the benefit of a society in which injustice prevails. Ha ha. They're going to close these places down. They were not playing. If there's anything that you're going to do, if you even get this far, because I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to name this to get people to listen to it without losing their shit. After, how long have I been recording? Hold on. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. An hour and 40 minutes. An hour and 40 minutes. I have been doing this, right? Fantastic. Even if I decide not to share this, at least I know I have it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is still something I know that I have. If I ever need to reference it. If somebody's like, oh, they're not going to do that. I'm like, oh, really? You want to listen to an hour and a half of me talking, like reading the fucking phone book? Don't believe that these people are not planning to do what they're saying they're planning to do. They are going to crumble all of it down. All of it. You know how I know? Because I'm looking at it. I'm reading it. I'm talking to you. I'm telling you what's happening. They tried to take it down. They're making these rookie mistakes. You don't put anything online. People screen grab everything. Just like I did when I found this article. And I can guarantee you, now that I'm done with this, I have to make sure it's fully done and I have it. And then I can go and refresh the page. I can guarantee you, it ain't going to be there. It ain't going to be there. My name is Trinity. My show is Lovespiracy. I might take some of this later on, like maybe a couple of these places, and see what's really going on. Because over time, when you get this information, when you hear this information, take it and keep it. Download it. Or follow my show. Follow me on Rumble. Follow me on Spotify. Follow me on Blue Sky. Everything I put, I'm going to put into these places. And I'm going to do little catch-ups. Every once in a while, I'm going to go back, come in here, listen to what I said, and say, another building down, another building down, another building down. So we know. Because the GSA is going to have to redo this. They're going to have to. And I want to be able to match what they're doing to what I see. It has to be a match. If it's not, somebody's lying. And we already know who's lying. But I need proof. I need the proof. I need the proof. All right. Thank you for spending almost 2 hours with me. And I usually do 2 hour shows, but I'm usually way more interesting. Look, if I find something like this, it makes me, it pumps me up. Like, I should be literally exhausted. I took stuff to go to sleep. I did not know I was going to find this. When I find stuff, they tell me not to find. I want to find it. I want to look into it. I want to delve into it. And I'm glad that I was able to share it. So I'm still going to figure out how I'm going to put this out without it getting taken down. So please like, follow, and share. I'm always going to bring you the best content that I possibly can. And I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for chilling with me. I hope you paused a lot. I think I'm going to go drink a beer. All right. Go talk to you guys later. This is Lovespiracy. I'm Trinity. See ya.
If you enjoy our content, please show your support by liking, sharing, and following. Our strength is in independent media. Our voices matter. Thank you for making this possible.